You are the only one judging yourself. Anytime you worry that someone is going to judge you, that is really just you judging yourself. And anytime that someone does judge you, that is really just them projecting their own self-judgment onto you. Because we all judge ourselves, some more than others, but this judgment filters our perception. So what we focus on in ourselves, we also tend to see and focus on in other people. So if I am judging my body for the way that I look, if I think that I'm fat, for example, then I'm always going to be looking at other people and judging whether they're fat or not because I am so concerned about that in myself. That's what's filtering my perception of other people. That's what I'm focusing on and therefore what I'm seeing. And so, if we can practice accepting ourselves with love, with kindness, and with compassion, not only will this make us feel better about ourselves and give us more confidence and self-esteem and free us from the fear of what other people think of us, but it will also allow us to see other people with more kindness, with more compassion, and with more love. And there's really no reason for us to be so critical of ourselves and other people because it just makes us feel miserable and it causes us to live in fear. And so when you notice that judging mind, when you see that inner critic, whether it's directed towards yourself or towards another person, recognize that in your mind and smile to it. Meet that energy with love because that's how we transform it. We don't transform fear by being afraid of it. We don't transform our judgment by judging it. We transform fear and judgment by meeting it with love and compassion. And I can give a personal example of when I really discovered this, and it had a profound impact for me personally. I remember I was at a music festival and I was dancing, and I've always been, prior to this, very self-conscious about dancing and about expressing myself and allowing myself to just move and express freely. And so I was dancing, but I was doing so very self-consciously, very judgmentally of myself. And I noticed all of these people dancing and having fun and having a good time. And I would start to do that too. But as I moved a little bit more, I would start to see this mind come up, this inner fear, like, oh no, people are going to see me. They're going to judge me. They're going to make fun of me. And so what I started practicing in that moment was recognizing that this fear, this inner judgment of myself, excuse me, it was trying to protect me. Ultimately, it was this part of my mind that was afraid that I would be judged, afraid that I'd be made fun of, and it was trying to protect me from that reality, trying to protect me from the pain of being judged, being rejected, or being made fun of, or whatever the fear was. And so what I did is I noticed that fear, I noticed that it was trying to protect me, and with that, I said, thank you. Thank you for looking out for me. Thank you for trying to protect me. But it's also keeping me from expressing myself. That very fear that seems to be protecting us from something outside is also something that confines us, something that traps us within that fear. And so I recognized it, I smiled to it, I said thank you for looking out for me, but I'm going to have fun and express myself. I'm safe right now. And so I would do that, and it would come up again and again as I continued dancing. That fear would come up. I'd recognize it, say thank you, but I'm okay. And I would just keep dancing and moving and sort of moving through that energy, which dance is such a great form of self-expression to move through things like that with. But it really taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me that, for one, it helped me recognize that I'm always judging myself, or I still do at times, but especially before this insight and realization is I was always judging myself, always being critical of myself, and that was disguised as this fear that other people were going to be judging me. But that was really just my own self-judgment. And on the same note, once I started accepting myself and being myself and expressing myself freely, I also stopped fearing what other people were going to think about me. I'm allowing myself to be myself, and that also gives other people permission for them to be themselves. It invites them into that same space to meet you at that same place of authentic, free self-expression. And so it also taught me that I can transform this inner fear, this inner judgment, by meeting it with love and kindness, recognizing that it's just a part of me that's scared, a wounded part of me that is trying to look out for me and protect me from the pain of social outcast in one way or another. And to smile to that, to be like, thank you for looking out for me. But I don't need that. I don't need to live in fear, and I'm choosing, it's my choice to recognize that I'm safe and to express myself regardless of how people perceive that or not. Because whether someone does judge you or not, it's not the end of the world. But we are so hardwired to seek for love and to seek for acceptance and validation socially, because we are social creatures and we want to feel like we belong and like we're part of the tribe. And so, well, we will do or not do many things to try to meet this social need of feeling loved. And if we don't, if we feel rejected or unaccepted, it can feel so painful. It feels on a primitive subconscious level, it's something that we fear so deeply. But if we put some conscious thought towards it and recognize what is really happening there, okay, if someone is judging me, for one, it's not really a actual physical harm. Of course, there are some cases where that could happen, but in most cases, when someone's judging you, they're not actually hurting you. They're just projecting their views and their opinions onto you. And if you can also recognize that's coming from a wounded place in them, that's coming from their own self-judgment. They don't feel free enough in themselves to express themselves authentically. And so if they see you doing it, then, and they judge that in you, it's only because of them. So to recognize this essential point that you are the only one that's ever judging yourself, and same for anyone else. They are the only one that's ever judging themselves. And whenever you see someone and you judge them, it's because you're judging yourself. And whenever someone sees you and judges you, it's because they judge themselves. And regardless of the way that this judgment expresses itself, it's ultimately coming from fear. And it can only be transformed by meeting it with love, starting with love towards yourself. Because when you love yourself and accept yourself with love, which can be a practice, it doesn't happen right away, but just start being more kind to yourself. Don't be so harsh on yourself. Start meeting yourself with more compassion and love. And the more that you do this, the more that you actually generate this self-compassion within you, the more that translates into the way you perceive other people. And you'll start to meet other people with love, with kindness, with compassion, and forgive their shortcomings or the things that trigger you, because you can direct your energy back towards yourself and say, what am I judging in myself that I'm seeing in this person? And in this way, if you practice in this way, it can really be educational. It can really be a way to speed up your own inner growth. It all happens just with this willingness to be aware and to meet whatever you see with compassion, with kindness, and with the desire to understand. So I really wanted to create this video mostly as a reminder to you and just as a wake-up call to you. If you're judging yourself or you're afraid of what other people are thinking of you, recognize that that is all coming from your own self-judgment, and that you can meet that with kindness. You can smile to that. You can say, I know that you're just looking out for me, and thank you, but I am safe and I'm choosing to express myself freely. And the more that you support yourself in that, the more free you feel to express yourself freely without the fear of what other people will think of you.